There we go. There's that. That was set up over here. And I you know, the way they explain it, it's like when you do it, it should change everything everywhere. But that's not my experience, which makes me a little crazy. Let's see. So I apologize for the delay, but you know.
Yeah, so it's close to the territory.
Huh?
I said, no problem. It's close to the territory.
Yeah. And so Facebook did take down that
They did that live. Yeah,
crazy.
they did. It is
crazy. And I'm thinking, and I know I've done this before. Now I know I've been doing this before, but I know that
so what happened was you've been doing it by yourself and you just started having the advocates come on. Oh, we're recording. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. It's okay.
The little red button was like, be quiet.
I'm trying to figure out this thing here. Okay, there we go. This fancy touch screen that doesn't like to be touched.
Right.
I'm just saying. So I don't trust these gadgets. I'm not paranoid, but what I'm about to do, I have had. All right. So I'm going live on Facebook because I don't trust this whole streaming thing. It was giving me a problem before. And so we're going to just.
Calling me?
No. My phone is laying way over there. Let's see something. Oh, you're trying. I'm trying to make sure I can get it. Let's see. They make it so. It's like they want you to do a whole new thing. I don't know why they're trying to get all fancy. They're annoying. They know my nerves right now. Just stream the video, people, so that people can find it. Nothing else, I'll just share it. Okay, so, hey, Natasha. I need either you or Ree to let me know if this is live on Facebook.
Okay, hold on. I don't see it up yet.
Okay, so I've checked. Share my timeline.
Are you putting it on your page?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I don't see anything.
Let me take this. I apologize for the delay, but it's going to be good because Lisa's amazing.
Thank you. It's no problem. We got time. We're here.
In the meantime, you know, I pray everybody's staying as safe as possible during this plague that we are experiencing.
Yes.
Because it's bad,
absolutely.
bad. And I've gotten notification every day that people that I know that their loved ones have been diagnosed with this virus and are in the hospital or are home and, you know, won't be admitted, and just, it's bad. Okay, so Natasha, let me see. It's just not letting me. I don't want to do all of it. Just go live, people. Natasha, still nothing?
No, I haven't received a notification. And I'm going on your page and I don't see anything there.
You know how Facebook asks you that question, what's on your mind? They don't want to know.
Mhm.
They don't want to know right now.
It's not an option on their Facebook selections.
What in the world is all this? Why? So it's telling me, okay, go live now. I hit go live now, and you're still not saying anything. So that, I've checked share to my timeline. That's optional. Tag. Ree, let me know if you get a tag. I'm going to just tag you because I see you. You're doing too much. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. I don't know what's going on over there. And I don't think it's not streaming like it's supposed to Facebook, which, Lisa, is the issue I told you I had last week.
Mhm.
Well, and then when the guest actually did it, then the audio was bad.
Okay.
So it wasn't even
Yeah.
working on.
I think it's just a platform. I think Zoom is great for meetings and stuff, but if it doesn't stream, maybe like another one like Ocean.
Yeah.
But play around with it and see if it works. It's free. The other one that I use too to go live.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it out. You know, I'm not stopping, right? That's not.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I just don't know how, unless he tells me. And when he does tell me, when the Lord does tell me, I'm like, okay, that's you, right? I'm like, seriously.
Can you confirm it? Confirm it with a word or two, Lord. A word or two.
We did for like 10 and a half years, I did a weekly Bible study on a conference call. And he started me to doing this when nobody was doing it, because I was like, you want me to do what? How's that supposed to work? This is an actual conversation that I had with the Lord. I'm like, how is that supposed to work? And he said, it'll work just fine if you do what I tell you. I said, okay, then. I guess I don't have any questions about it. And we did it for like 10 and a half years. By the time we stopped, like everybody was doing it. But it was just like this strange idea.
Right, 10 and a half years ago. Yeah.
And people would start it and not continue, because if you're accustomed to being able to see who you're talking to or have them in the same room with you, it's kind of weird. You're talking into this phone and you really don't know who's on, who's not on until you get on. It was quite interesting, but it kind of prepared me for whatever. You know what I mean? It prepared me for whatever. So whatever he tells me to do, I'm willing to do it. But I was puzzled by the instruction. And when he told me to stop, I've been doing it for like 10 and a half years. He had to confirm it. And I know I can hear him like 3 times because I wanted to be sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't want to stop this. If this is not you telling me to stop this, or this is just being tired or whatever. But no, he said, no, we can't stop. But I didn't know all of this was going to be going on after that.
So after the 10 and a half years, then you started this?
Right. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I know a lot of people start something, but if they're not called to it, there's no stick to itness. They don't stick to it.
No, because it's hard.
It's hard work.
It's hard, right? Like, people don't call us. People aren't talking to us about the amazing, happy things that happen in their life.
No.
When they're amazing and happy, we can't even find them, okay?
Right. You're right. Until crisis hits again. It's like, yeah.
Right. Which is fine. So I think that there has to be an anointing for it, or it'll just burn you out. And I think even being a believer, you really just have to stay submitted and continue to listen. And it can't be a flesh thing at all. It can't be a flesh thing at all.
Yeah.
Because if it becomes a flesh thing, then that weariness will, you can tell.
Absolutely.
That's been enough time
in the flesh.
Right, because it'll start wearing you out. It'll wear you out. So
yeah.
anyway,
And you can
I'm
always
excited.
tell kind of like when you get into the flesh, because then that weariness comes. We're flesh, yeah. So we do need to do self-care. We do need to do these things that keep us well. But at the same time, if he's called you to it, he's giving you the strength to do it. And hats off to you for doing this for the past year. Because I think when we did it together, was it your first one that you were just
my first one?
Yeah. And then you're like
right,
every week. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that got to be God, because this is not something that we do for fun. It's not.
No.
It takes a lot of work for you to prepare for this every week.
Right. And when we first did it, I had no idea. Well, he told me while we were talking the first time that we needed to talk about safety planning. Remember, we talked about it?
Yeah,
so
we did.
So we did another one.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, I did what he told me to do.
Right.
And then all this other stuff.
You look so pretty, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So do you. And so I'm just, what he's given me to do over the next few weeks, drop into my spirit. I literally don't pick up a topic. I don't do it unless I'm directed, because then I know that it's relevant, it's encouraging to someone. What we do is seed. Yeah. And it's born out of pain. And it's born out of us almost being killed ourselves. you understand what I'm saying? So
absolutely. It's true. It's true.
It matters where we put it. And so this old-fashioned idea of just kind of taking your seed and scattering it hither and yon is not wise. So it matters where I put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I only want to sow it where there's going to be a harvest.
With ground.
And by harvest, I mean that it's going to multiply in the life of the one who receives it. You know what I'm saying? That they can be blessed, that they can walk in their purpose, that they can understand that God never intended for them to endure a life of abuse. That was never his plan.
Absolutely.
Life, and so when I can see that taking place, that's rewarding to me. And that's what helps me to keep coming back every week. So what he said to me a couple of weeks ago was that he wanted me to allow survivors to nominate advocates that have really impacted their life.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, I love that idea. Not that he needed for me to love it, but
Yeah. That always helps.
But I really did. I liked that idea because I think, advocates are people too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think about, the many things, most of us, he has multitasking. It's not just one thing he has us doing. He's got us doing this and he's got us doing that. And it all comes together in ways that only he could do it. And so what I'm finding, because of the interviews that I've done over the past 2 months that I thought was only going to be 1 or 2 interviews, okay, with survivors, is that many of us are creatives, which would explain why the enemy would assign hell to us. You understand what I'm saying? To keep us from creating what God has intended for us to in the first place.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, writers. There are those that are like working on screenplays for movies. Musicians. Big. I mean, it's just mind blowing, the skills and the talent. I'm thinking, okay.
That's why you try to take us out. I see it. I get it.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. And so I think for most abuse victims, it's not random. God didn't do it, but it's not random that it's been assigned to them. There's and this is really just dropping in my spirit right now while I'm saying it. There are specific reasons that the enemy assigns certain things to certain people.
Right.
There are things that he does not want released in the earth.
Absolutely agree.
So he's very strategic. It's not random at all. You know what I'm saying?
The Bible talks about the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, period. He wants to obliterate you, take you out. That's the goal.
Take you out. And listen,
absolutely.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's because you get so overwhelmed that you become suicidal and take yourself out.
Right.
He doesn't care if you decide to jump off a bridge, jump off a building, run out to the freeway, or if you stay in a situation that is bound to end up in you losing your life.
Your life.
So it doesn't matter to him if the abuser does it or if you just slowly disintegrate because you stay in it. Because you can have a pulse and still not be here.
Yeah.
This is what people don't understand.
It's so
You
true.
can post and still, it's just be a shell of who you were, walking around. And so, I think, so what we do is important so that the things that God has intended to be released in the earth can be released in the earth.
Yeah. And like literally, we're literally saving lives. These are lives that know that we're pulling back from the brink of literal death. Yeah.
Literally.
And so, yeah.
Yes. And just the impact that has on a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
On everybody when that happens.
Yeah.
The children, whoever's connected, you got secondary survivors. I've done a YouTube video on that. It's just like, there's so much damage, collateral damage that occurs when we don't make good choices. And I'm convinced that if we can just keep going, Lisa, if we can just keep going and just let people know that they matter and that God values them and that they're not by themselves. And so I think this is why the things that we're doing are so important. Because as you said, literally saving lives. And so y'all know how I like to do these. It's just like two friends talking, because that's but this is Lisa Alexander, and she is the CEO of Stand Up Survivor. She is a licensed mental health professional, and I love her to pieces. Love her to pieces. Love her to pieces.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on again a year later.
Yes, I'm like, it's our anniversary.
It's our anniversary. Welcome to our anniversary, y'all.
So Lisa was like the very first one I ever did. Had no idea I'd still be doing this a year later, and certainly not every week. Yeah. No idea at all, but it's fun. It's kind of like an adventure because I never really know what else he's going to give me to do. And so today we are still in our domestic violence advocate showcase, where I wanted to bring attention to advocates who are making a really tremendous impact on the lives of victims out there. And to give them an opportunity to share their story, because typically if you're an advocate for anything, no matter what it is, you've been touched by it personally. There's something about that struggle that resonates within you, so much so that you know that you have to do something about it.
Right.
You have to do something about it. And the payoff is helping somebody else to get free. Helping somebody else to realize that they have value, is just the best feeling in the world. And so we're continuing with this. And when I realized that it was our anniversary, I'm like, I gotta get Lisa here. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Yeah. So we have to do this every year.
Let's do it every year. Yes, absolutely.
Every year to recap.
And let we just talk about what God is doing in our lives and in our ministries. We just got to catch up.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to give Lisa an opportunity to share a little bit about her story for those of you who may not be familiar, to hear where she's come from and what's inspired her to do what she's doing, and what she's been doing this past year, because she's been busy. I know, because I've been watching. She's been busy. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of what she's been able to do. I'm so proud. So tell us a little bit about you. Who is
I'm Lisa Alexander. So I am a survivor of domestic violence. I met my ex-husband when I was 19, and I was a praise and worship leader at church, and he worked the soundboard. And we got married when I was 23. And I knew that he had come from an abusive home. Like, I knew his dad was abusive to his mom, but that didn't really resonate to me as that would have been passed down, because I didn't really know what abuse was. So it was never something that I said, oh my goodness, this is a red flag, right? Mm-hmm. So after we got married at 23, it didn't start off as physical. My parents this year, they've been married for 51 years in August. And so I saw like marriage for real. And I saw healthy marriage. I always say, like, I heard my parents argue like 3 times as an adult, not even as a child. We just didn't see it. And so when it started happening in my own relationship, I didn't really know what to do with it. And it was, he got like physically violent, just like holding me down, breaking my things, wanting to know where I was, following me around, the typical verbal and emotional abuse stuff going on. Look out the window, he's outside of my job. I'm looking down from the 6th floor and he's there. Just really aggressive kind of behaviors, and didn't really make sense. But I couldn't put a name to it. It didn't get physical until I was pregnant with my daughter. In 2007, we got married in 05. So in 07, I was pregnant with my daughter, and that's when it got physical. And statistics say that abuse when they're pregnant, it starts or gets worse during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And it definitely did. And I remember he was relentless during the pregnancy, and I was devastated. I just always remember like drinking NyQuil every night because I wanted to go to sleep, because at night he would rage. And so I would think if I could just go to sleep, he'd leave me alone, And so I told my daughter, she doesn't understand it, but I always tell her she saved my life, because literally I wouldn't be here if I wasn't pregnant with her. Because when you're going through that pain and abuse, you don't want to live anymore. It's like, this can't be life.
Right.
So of course, I had my daughter, tried to work it out. I was not getting divorced. I always believed that God, I grew up learning that God hated divorce,
Right.
And so I wasn't going to, you know how they go. I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So he got,
right.
I'm not, no. Mm-mm. And so I got to make this work. And I loved him, he was my first love, my first everything. And I thought I can make this work. And so when we moved, he moved us out of state because he got a better job. And that's where the isolation came in. He's like, we need to start over, away from everybody, away from your family. We're too close.
Man.
I mean, I swear, if I could write a book on this, it would sound exactly the same. So literally,
yes.
we moved on the top of this mountain. And literally, if I wanted to get off, like go for a walk, I literally was like a straight hill down. And so I had my daughter. And then after my daughter was 4 months old, I got pregnant again. And I was like, oh, God, I can't believe this. I'll never leave. I can't go now. I'm stuck. And no one will ever want me. I already knew that, because this is what he told me. He left he would go to work, and I had no phone access, no nothing. The phone, no, he would break my phone, take my phone. And so this went on for a long time. We moved back to Florida, and it continued. That abuse, I tell people this all the time, abuse doesn't get better, it gets worse. Are there anything? We serve a God who can do absolutely anything. But there has to be a choice that the abuser chooses to make. And it's not a verbal choice, it's an action choice.
It's an actual choice. A quantifiable choice.
Yes, and it's something they have to put action behind. Yes, exactly. And the action behind what they're doing, they seek individual therapy. They seek help and rehabilitation on their own before they can. So make a long story short, I was going through just so much pain, and the abuse started just getting worse. So he would like literally just pound on me. And so I would think in my head all the time. And so I would just protect my faith, because if I could protect my faith, then I wouldn't have to explain it to anybody.
Wow.
I would keep my hands over my head, and he would just continue to pound. And I was like, he's going to kill me. I always thought I knew he was going to kill me, whether intentionally or unintentionally, he was going to kill me. So one night I was watching a lady on YouTube, and I always like to say this when I do my YouTube videos and stuff, because it was a moment like this, like how we're recording today, that saved my life that day. And so I saw a lady talking about her story, how she was in an abusive relationship, and she got out and she got remarried and had like this whole life. And I was like, wait, what? Like I didn't know that there was this life. What? This life after? I packed my kids that night in our car, left a note on the counter, and I was gone. I never went back to live with him in that home. And I always tell people how these moments, Cheryl, that you're doing are so powerful. They're so necessary, because all it takes is that one time. So anyway, we ended up getting divorced, and I tell people all the time, I wanted to save my marriage. So that when I walked out the door that day, I wasn't done, because I believed that God could save my marriage. I went to counseling in group counseling and for domestic violence, and I walked in and I told the advocate, I said, God's going to save my marriage, and she said, okay, But I realized that God was literally saving me and saving my life.
Right.
And so I remember hearing that I was just in my quiet time with him, that God loves me more than he hates divorce. And that really freed me up, because I knew that I was more important to him than the whole divorce aspect. And so I became a single mommy with 2 children. They were 2 and 3 at the time. And they're now 11 and 12. They're about to be 12 and 13. I just love them. I could eat them up. I could smell them. I just love everything about them. Right. And they were 2 and 3 at the time. And I went back to school. He didn't want me to go to school because I was sleeping with the professors and all this kind of crazy stuff. So I went back to school, did my bachelor's in psychology, my master's in counseling psychology. And I think last time I talked to you, I was still writing this dissertation for my doctorate degree. Lord help me. But I finished on my doctoral coursework, and I'm working on my dissertation, which is on domestic violence in the Black church. And it is I love it. I love the research aspect of it. It's amazing. And it's just amazing how our churches are not talking about it. But
Yes.
we know
Yes. 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 And you know how I feel. Ooh, that's a trigger for me.
Yes, I know it. I know, because I think we went off on this topic last time. Well, because it's necessary. They're dying.
I mean, we should be tired of having funerals. We should be tired of having funerals.
Yeah. Especially just because of a lack of knowledge, of not being educated to help those who need it.
Right. And rejecting knowledge when they have an opportunity to have it, So we've got that whole foundation.
It's true.
We have been trauma bonded as a people for 400 years.
Yeah. And we got to break that.
Yeah, we have to. We just have to keep going.
And we're educated enough to be able. We have enough people around us to educate. So when the education is available, take it. So I got remarried in 2016 to my honey bun, and we had
your whole face lights up when you just mention it.
He's my guy. He's my guy, and I'm so thankful for him. We have a 2-year-old daughter named Joy, and we named her Joy just because literally life is that. Life is, and so I started Stand Up Survivor in 2015, which is a nonprofit organization. And we work with survivors literally all over the world. We're based out of Orlando, Florida. And so much has happened, like she said, in the past year. And so we've done events and fundraisers and advocacy. I'm on the Mayor's Commission here in Orlando, on Domestic Violence Commission, which we're doing policy changes and laws and things like that can really help survivors. So we've just been really busy. We have an amazing Facebook following, which grows, because I know that's God, but you know how that stuff can get. It's a lot. But as long as we're getting the word out there, it's important for us to do that.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to lately. And you asked me, how do I stay the course? And I think we talked about that in the beginning, because we stay the course because God has called us to it. Mm-hmm. It's not like necessarily a choice; it's a calling. And I think that's what the difference is.
It's really not a choice.
Yeah, because I could sleep most days. And I could, because you think about it, is what we're listening to from survivors is gut wrenching, painful, horrible things. It's horrible.
Right.
And it's like, you end up, you obviously as mental health therapists, we don't carry it, but to a certain extent, we are receiving this information, and it's heavy, so that's not a choice. That's a calling.
Right. It is absolutely a calling. And I've seen the events that you've had scheduled, and I'm thinking, I don't live in Florida anymore.
Yeah, I know. And then COVID-19 came, and I was like, but God, you know what? You know exactly what you're doing. So I'm going to sit and I'm going to rest, and whatever you're doing. And when you decide COVID is gone, we keep moving forward in our activities and stuff. Because April 23rd is just supposed to be our interfaith luncheon, where all the leaders and ministers within the Orange County community, we invited them to a luncheon to talk about domestic violence. So we just had to postpone that, but that hasn't been done in this county in a long time. And we had great reception on it. They were coming out, and so I'm excited to move it forward.
That's awesome.
That conversation is needed. Yeah, I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll be making some announcements here probably within this next week. I'm just waiting on a couple of things that I've been working on for the past, relatively quietly over the past several months. Just not saying a whole lot about it, and just building. And just building and trusting that God knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows what we need. And I remember, and this goes back some years, in the middle of all my craziness, being with my bishop, because I would travel with him and some other ministry leaders. And we were in Syracuse, New York. And Marvin Sapp, who I didn't even know preached. I mean, at that time, I knew he sang, but I didn't know he was a pastor too, right? And we're in Syracuse, New York, and it's a blizzard. And I'll never forget this, because we didn't even take cars from the hotel. The hotel wasn't that far from the church where this conference was being held that my bishop was preaching at. And so we just walked, and I just remember it was a blizzard, because drive, and then what are you going to do with the car? There's nowhere to park. It's all in snow. And so I remember sitting in this service, literally feeling like my whole midsection had like been blown out with an AK-47. Like I couldn't feel anything.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
so, it was just so, I couldn't feel anything. And it just felt like everything was just gone. And I was functioning,
Mm-hmm.
going through the motions, which is easy to do in our churches because people don't attend to you.
Mm.
They don't
Wow.
attend.
Wow.
So I can tell you I'm fine, and you take that because you're not all that interested anyway. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
You're not that concerned.
But I remember in the middle of his message, he got up and he said, he stopped preaching.
Hmm.
And he said, "You stand up." And I'm thinking, I know he's not like,
Calling me.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait.
Wow.
I'm zoned out and half focused anyway. And I'm not understanding. I'm like, is he? And I'm looking around. He said, "No, you." And he described what I was wearing. And my bishop said, "Pastor Cheryl, he's talking to you." And I'm thinking, why is he talking? Like, why is he talking to me? And so I stood up and he said this. And this has helped me since then. This is what he said. "I have never seen you before in my life. And God is telling me to stop right now and to say this to you." He said, "All I see around you is victory. I don't know what you're going through right now, but that's all I see is victory. And you are going to be blown away by what God does through you."
Wow.
And what that I couldn't do nothing but cry.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful.
I couldn't do nothing but cry. And it let me know that
Wow.
God, where I was,
Yeah.
all the way in upstate New York, in a blizzard,
Yeah.
where I don't even live.
Wow.
Been there before, but he knew
Wow.
exactly where I was.
Oh, I just love it. I just love
It
it.
saved my life.
Wow.
It did. It saved my life. And so no matter what has happened since then,
That's so
I
powerful.
understand that it doesn't matter where I am. Okay. And I feel like now I haven't talked about this in years, but it's coming up now because I believe that someone that watches this, Lisa, needs to know that.
Mm-hmm.
He knows exactly where you are.
Exactly.
He knows exactly where you don't have to be where you normally hang out for him to find you, for him to know where you are. I'm in a blizzard in upstate New York, nowhere near where I live.
Wow. That's powerful.
And he said that word in the middle of a sermon. So there was no way it wasn't like a group thing, everybody come forward, this is what God. He stopped preaching.
Wow.
And I didn't even know he preached at the time. So
wow, that's amazing though. It just shows how caring. We have such a good father. He's a good God. He cares about us. Even he cares about everything about us.
Every single thing. He is intimately aware. He is intimately aware. And he will work on us too. Even if you're in a situation where you're currently a victim, he will work on you while he delivers you out of that situation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a one-sided, okay, that's the devil and you're an angel and this is bad. He'll work on you too. Because I remember him speaking to me in the middle of some crazy, I don't even know what the disagreement was about. It didn't have to be about anything. It could be about lunch meat. You hear me?
Yeah.
Dumb.
Listen.
Just something dumb. And I was like, wow, when I master my response to this foolishness, God is going to deliver me. Just like it was like ding, 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 right in the middle of his lips were still moving. I don't even know what he was saying.
Wow.
Okay. And the Lord let me know. I'm like, okay. And so that let me know, again, he's with me.
Yeah.
He's with me.
Yeah.
And there's a strength that he wants to develop in me as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the ability to strategize. Listen, God is a master strategist.
He is. He is. When he plans it, he does all things well. So he is. He does all things
well. And he doesn't leave anything to go to waste. And so I know I'm finding in my life, and this may be true to you as well, that the things that I've learned over the years, I find myself being able to use them to put forth what he's called me to do now.
That's so true. That's so true.
That skill set, for me, being able to pack and move, being able to, listen, I load the truck and drive the truck. I have done it. And somebody out there needs help getting away.
Oh, yeah. And as a survivor, you understand that urgency, and then you have the skill set to do it. Absolutely.
Right. And then just the planning. And so I think that what we do is important, again, because we can show victims how to remain as safe as possible until they are ready to go. And we talked about this before, and my stance on it hasn't changed. Okay. I will never tell somebody, well, just leave. You have got to have a plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need a plan. And the more detailed the plan, the better. But if you don't have time for a detail, you need some kind of plan. You really, really do. It increases your chances of survival.
And your stick-to-itiveness and your ability to stay gone too.
And your ability to stay gone, because that is so important. Because that is so important.
I one time about the easy part, like you left that was the easy part. And I'm thinking, who wrote that? That's not accurate. Leaving is not the easy part.
Who did write that?
I don't know, but I was like, next, that is false. That's just not true. Like they were saying, like the hard part starts now. No, the easy but hard part is leaving. To finally get the strength to actually leave. That's hard. Right. And not turn back around.
And the steps that you go through, and this is what people don't understand, to even arrive at that conclusion.
Oh my goodness.
To even get there in the first place. Right? It's right. And so you've got all your cultural beliefs and your upbringing and what you've observed. But in your case was the complete opposite of my case in terms of my parents. My father was abusive. He was. But he wasn't abusive to me, which was confusing. You know what I'm saying? That he wasn't abusive to all of us. He just like he targeted my mom, and everybody thought I was his favorite. It was a kind of a weird dynamic. But in your case, your parents were together. You never heard them argue or anything like that. As a child, and I mean 3 times since you've been grown, it's still like what? That don't even count.
I know, right? Yeah, it's too late. Y'all gotta. I say argue. I'm like, it's healthy. Talk about something, but they don't. Right. It's not their thing. My dad, they're very opposite, so they work well.
Yeah. So they set appropriate boundaries and limits. They know.
Yeah, they figured it out. They've got it down. Thank God. So I'm hoping second time is a charm for me, and I can get to 50. I don't know how old I'll be at that point, but I'm going for it. So
listen. I tell you that your face lights all the way up.
Yeah. When and I tell people, it's like love after abuse is it's different because you've been hurt, you've been in hell, you've been down to the depths of sorrow and pain, and then when you wake up and you're not sleeping with a knife under your pillow, that person's not going to harm you while you're sleeping. It's just it's like, oh, you just like them and they're just nice, or it's just like it's just. I remember praying to God. I was like, God, I just want somebody who's nice. Meanwhile, I know I should have had more criteria than that. But when you come out of something that was so painful, it's like, I just want to be nice. Is he a nice guy? And
can I just be treated like a human being?
Yeah. So I'm doing just like I'm a human. I'm a woman, So I'm doing a series now. I do a podcast, that, for survivors of domestic violence, where they come and they share their stories. It's called A Deeper Look into Domestic Violence. But I recently just started recording one just called Love After Abuse. And I've come to realize, having the social media platform that we have, you hear survivors from all walks of life. And my thing, 17 years, I hate men. I will never. I said, okay, I respect that. And just all this negative thing sometimes, I'm like, wait a minute. You guys do know there's an opposite side to this, right? You do know there's a healthy relationship. Or they'll say, I'm just too damaged. I'll never, or I just keep picking the one man. Right. We need to have a conversation. We've got to figure out how that doesn't happen, to break that cycle for yourself.
Right.
And then I want to share stories of women who have found love after abuse. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they're thriving because they need to know. I needed to know. That freed me that day.
Right.
And so I want people to know that it exists out there, and it's beautiful. It's really wonderful. It's not perfect. Right. Got to understand this too, but it's healthy. We can disagree, and it be a healthy disagreement.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's and I interviewed a survivor a few weeks ago who has been married now for 10 and a half, gone on 11 years, and she's happy now. But if you could have heard her history, I was like, you did what? Wait. What happened? Yeah. And then you did it again? Okay. 3 or 4 times. Just the same thing, only worse. Wow. And so she was able to come out of it. It's interesting. She came out of it when her focus shifted in a healthy way, not in this fixated, desperate way, to her relationship with the Lord.
Wow, huge.
And he spoke to her, I just give me some time with you.
Yeah,
Just give me some time
with you. Yeah, that's
you know
it.
what I'm saying? And then she stopped attracting whatever. And it was
of
funny,
course.
She was getting involved with bikers.
Mm-hmm.
First she started hanging out with bikers, and then she started going to the biker bar. Then she started working at the biker bar. I said, oh, so you just...
Yeah, got right in there. You delved in there. You went head first. But I think people also, Apostle, they skip the healing process. Yeah. And I tell you, the healing process is ugly. Sometimes you feel like you're literally dying again. But let me tell you something. And I tell people this too. Like, I feel like who I am now, I crawled to be who I was. I was doing an interview the other day, and this girl goes, look at you, you all strong and bold. You got a nose ring, and you say what you got to say. I said, but this isn't who I was before. This isn't the person. I was docile and calm, very shy, very naive, and I had to find my voice. You know what I mean? That's why I called it Stand Up Survivor. Because it's like I found my voice, and I want other people to find theirs too.
And to know that they have one, that it's in there, that it is absolutely in there. Yes. And so the survivor that I spoke to a few weeks ago, this is hilarious. The person that she's married to now is also a biker, but they're part of Biker for Jesus. I almost fell out my chair.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome though. She liked the bikers. She just had to find the right biker. It was just the right.
But it's also, but it's a good example though of how the enemy will take,
come on,
and pervert. You know what I'm saying? Have you in the wrong setting at the wrong time and all of that. And the basis of the thing, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Oh no.
There's nothing wrong with being a biker. Yeah. What kind of biker are you? You know what I'm saying? To whom do you lend your members? Okay, let's just. And so to me, I'm like, look at that. So God didn't even require that she denounce everything that she loves about life in general. You know what I'm saying? He showed that you can have that in a healthy setting,
right? In
a healthy relationship, in which you are valued. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And that's what's so amazing about him. That's what's so amazing about him. But I'm excited that you were able to come on, and I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Lord have mercy.
Thank you. Praise God. Yeah.
And so I'm gonna continue this probably for at least the next couple of weeks. I know I've got some other advocates that were nominated by people, and I love the idea because it's important that they know that people value what they're doing.
That's true. Yeah, because it's a very selfless job. Because people are in such crisis, it's not like you're handing out promotions or $1,000 checks and they're like, "Thank you," and
right.
It's crisis, and they're in their own crisis. So sometimes they don't turn back to say thank you, or don't turn back to say this how you. And my advocate, the one who I walked in her class and said, God's gonna save my marriage. She was at my wedding. She's on my board. She's an intricate part of my life now. And so I call her my shero. She's just my person, because that advocate person really can literally pull you from the ground up. So,
yes.
So
They are important, especially when they are called, because then it's not just, well, I'm just working in a shelter, or I used to get beat up when I was a teenager, or I had a bad marriage, and whatever. And I want you to be praying with me about this. This is something that's been on my heart. And I had a conversation with someone the other day, and she ended up in tears. I wasn't trying to make her cry. But the Lord was dealing with her about what I was saying to her. This thing that we do in church where, God will bring us out of a thing no matter what it is, and we never talk about it again. The apostle in me, the warrior in me has a problem with that, because the enemy still has your mouth closed. And when you don't talk about it at all, I question if you're healed from it. I just question the degree of healing that's taking place there when you never ever go there. And it's wasted warfare. It's like you went through all that hell, right? God delivered you, and you never say nothing else about it.
I know some people don't share, say if something their parents said, because their parents are still alive, so they're waiting in the past before they tell that story right there. But I do agree, the Bible talks about we overcome by the word of our testimony, and that's one of the things that helped me to actually open my mouth. So I think it's important that we turn back and we say thank you. We turn back and use our voice to help someone
thank
else.
you, right. And they don't have to do a podcast like you. They don't have to do it every week like I do. No. But why is your mouth so closed about it? It's like somebody around you. This is what we know about domestic violence. It is so prevalent. There is zero chance that there's no one in your realm of influence that's been impacted by it.
And there's zero right here. This little circle right here, there's people involved. Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's, and you may look at them and think there's no way. And that's probably the one that's really catching hell. That one. The one that you think would never, ever find themselves in a situation like that. And so I want us to stop being tricked by that. Especially church folk. You know what I'm saying? We'll get all dressed up and go to church and, I'm a pastor, I'm an apostle, I'm a youth pastor. All these things. What did he deliver you from? What did he deliver you from? Are you going to just act like none of that happened? Because it has a whole lot to do with who you are today.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's not something for me. I don't I'm getting ready to talk about some of that stuff. I can't even believe it was my life. You know what I'm saying? When I look back, I'm thinking, whose life was that? That was crazy. All of that was crazy, right? But people need to understand that God can deliver you out of anything. He just needs your cooperation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we have to be actively involved in our own deliverance. And this is
what
people
do.
You've got to be actively involved.
Yes, we do.
In your own deliverance. Okay. And it has nothing at all to do with how we feel. You can't trust your feelings after a while. You cannot trust what you're feeling. There's too many things that impact, how we feel. And so we've got to come out of that. And that's one way I think that everybody who has ever experienced domestic violence can help. So this person I was talking to the other day said, well, I'm in therapy. I go to therapy. I said, okay. So you're talking to one human being who by law can't share anything.
Can't tell anybody.
You're still isolated. Okay. And of course, continue with your therapy, but make sure you're in therapy with someone who's skilled in terms of domestic violence. This is not a subject that someone that's not skilled does not need to be messing with this.
No, not at all. And again, that's a conversation with the church as well. Having couples counseling when you have a couple in the church that is experiencing domestic violence. It needs to be someone who specifically knows about domestic violence and can assist you with that specifically.
Yes.
Period, whether in the church or out of the church.
And if they are skilled, they're not going to try to do couples counseling.
No, no.
Somebody's going to get beat up when they get home. Okay.
Yes.
But
oh my goodness.
They're going to get cussed out in the car on the way home. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
It's like you can't do that. You can't do that.
And I think after this COVID-19, it's going to be a conversation that they're going to have, because domestic violence is on the rise, and as a result, you're going to have more people coming out saying child abuse is on the rise, assaults are on the rise, domestic violence. So you're going to have to have this conversation.
We're going to have this conversation and do something and have an plan. And one other thing for anyone who might be watching this, well, he goes to counseling. Okay, whose idea was it? Because if it's a response to your idea, then there's a 99.999% chance that it's all part of a manipulation. Okay.
Right. Or they're going to say you don't
he or she, whoever the abuser is, sincerely felt that they were over the top abusive, they would have brought it up themselves. Anything that they do in response to you suggesting it is buying them more time.
And but you know what, Apostle, even if they do bring up that they're going to get help, I mean, okay, let them go get help. That doesn't mean y'all have to go get help. Right. You know what I mean? Let them go. Let them go work on it. And that's the thing. I'm all about marriage. I love the sanctity of marriage. I'm a big believer in marriage. And divorce is crippling, and I hate it for my own children, and the devastation of it is horrible. So if you can save your marriage, wonderful. But if it is putting you in danger, absolutely not. Go stay with your parents, leave, and let that person go get help. And if God decides to do so, come back together. But it is not a couple's problem. Domestic violence is not a couple's problem.
It's not a couple's problem. It absolutely is not a couple's problem. And having dealt with patients who've said, well, He said he would come to counseling. First of all, he's not going to come but 2 or 3 times, number one. If he's got a therapist that's skilled and will hold him or her, because the abuser can be a woman, accountable, they're not doing that if they're not serious. They are not doing it. They are not going to do it.
Because if I'm keeping you accountable, I'm calling you on your garbage, calling you on your stuff, say, hey, that's not, and abusers, narcissistic people, they don't like that. That's not going to work.
No, they don't like it. And they're certainly not going to pay you to tell them about themselves.
No.
Right? They will not do it. They will not do it. And for those of you who are thinking, well, it's possible. Well, how much value do you place on your life? That's my question. You know, in my experience, it's not often that once that boundary is broken and they have put their hands on you, it's pretty much a wrap.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah.
It's not very likely that they won't go there again with you, because they already know that they can go there with you.
And I've heard some robbers say that too. Oh, well, he used to hit me. He doesn't anymore. It's been years. It's a different type of abuse now, but I'm afraid every day that he's going to do it. Well, of course you are. Because he's done it before.
Because he's done it.
Who's to say that he won't do it again? And I was going to say earlier that, listen, domestic violence is life or death. There's no in between. There's no playground. It's black and white. It's life or death. Okay.
Right.
And so it's that serious. It's that serious.
It is that serious. And I hear people say, well, my mama told me that the first time he puts his hands on me, I should leave. And I'm thinking, you should have left when he cussed you out.
Yeah, that part.
You should have left when he threw that plate across the room.
You know, I should say, if a man ever hit me, I'm leaving. Man, I stayed so long. Because once you're in there, once they get in here, no.
Exactly.
But that's why we teach red flags, things to look out for.
Right.
You know?
It takes more the longer you're in it, it takes more to leave. And I have interviewed some really amazing survivors who have been in it for like 20 something years. And in one instance, it involved spiritual abuse. It involved sexual assault. It involved, I'm talking about leading the whole church down a crazy path. It was just like mind blowing.
Wow.
And it started when she was really young.
Of course.
Groomed her for 6 or 7 years. Did not approach her inappropriately at all for 6 or 7 years, Lisa. Groomed.
Wow. Yeah, groom's the word. Groomed. Yep.
Wrong. Nothing inappropriate, presenting as the protective one, the nurturing, supportive one, and then completely exploited all of that.
Wow.
So, you know, there's that, and women thinking that I can move 2 states over and be safe. Women thinking, well, okay, I know that when I leave, that's the most dangerous time. That is the most dangerous time. And then you've got that 30 to 90 day period after that. And this is what you need to really be sensitive to, because it's really not about you at all. It's about their need for power and control.
Period.
The first time something goes wrong in their life, it's going to still be your fault.
Absolutely.
When they first get released from jail, it's going to be your fault.
Yep.
So you need to think about that 90 days in their mind as well, not just in terms of what's going on in your life. Well, I've been out for 90 days, and so therefore I'm safe. What is going on over there, though? If they just broke up with their new form of supply, okay,
Correct.
Not unusual for them to circle back around.
Because if you wouldn't have left, or if you were still here, this wouldn't have happened. It's bound to be your fault. It's bound to be your fault.
Right. So once you experience it, it's like, it's not a very romantic example, but it's like stepping in dog poop. It is. It's like stepping in dog poop. You just need to, you stepped in it. You always feel like you smell it anyway.
You do, though. For some reason, you just always smell it. Throw it away. It's gone.
You scrub the shoes, scrub it, rub your foot in the grass. Doesn't make any difference. You still smell it, whether real or imagined, right?
Yeah.
The scent is there. And so once you've had a relationship like that, you can't afford to completely, totally dismiss it because it's not safe to do that. And I'm certainly not saying live in fear, but
be wise, be smart, put some things into place, some safety measures into place. Right. And I think you have to do this for a while. Like you said, the 39-day period, you have to do it for a while because they can get upset one day. You see it all the time. Gone for 2 years, come back. At the start, it happened to her. He was on parole. Was it? No, I'm sorry. He had a restraining order. It happened in Hollywood. She had the restraining order. She was a doctor. She mental health, I think. As soon as she was restrained, I mean, it was years too. And when it was over, he killed her the next day. I mean, and it was years, like long time years. After the registration came up, the next day he killed her.
Right.
You would think that, oh my gosh, after all these years, he's over it. Who says who?
He's never accepted that it was.
That means he lost something. Yeah.
He lost something.
He lost his possession. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I viewed a story on, this happened in Canada, where this man literally, in the course of like a day, went back and killed 3 different women that he had been terrorizing. Killed all 3 of them.
Wow. I think I read that one.
And they'd been for like a long time, less long, but reason. He circled all the way back around.
Jesus, God.
And had borrowed the neighbor's car to do this.
Oh my goodness.
And had the nerve to leave the neighbor a note and $100 to reimburse her for her gas.
Wow.
You just killed 3 people, and you drove 30 minutes between locations to kill them.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm telling you, you can never be too careful. You have to be safe. And then I want to say another thing real quick. When it comes to, because sometimes they say, you said it though, that they found the next supply or the next person to decide to be in a relationship with. You can't change an abuser, okay? It is not you. They will most likely, 99.9%, abuse the next person that they're with.
Absolutely.
I know it looks good. I know that, oh my goodness, she seems so happy. She's getting everything I worked for. Honey, you have no idea what she's getting, just like nobody knew what you were getting. So don't allow yourself to be jealous or think about the new person that they're with. Because I guarantee you they're experiencing the same thing.
Right. Right. And how about this? How about she's probably doing the same thing that you did, right? When you were miserable and hiding it from everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's
a horrible cycle. It's a horrible cycle, and you wish you could prevent them from it, but.
Right. So now somebody's wondering, well, should I talk to I'm going to just throw this out here.
I get this question all the time.
Right.
I've tried to tell her that he was crazy, and now you're looking crazy. Or I just want to talk to her and tell her what he used to do to me, but he's already done that. He's already planted seeds in a new woman's head or new man's head that you're crazy, that you're nuts, that you abuse them, or whatever the case may be. So while I would encourage you to pray for them. I'd encourage you to but you going there actually can put you in danger. I just want you to know, I get that question all my inbox.
Right. It's a very common, but what should I tell her? Part of that is your brain wanting to know the intricate details of this new relationship as well.
First of all, you're flesh, you're a woman, you want to know. You want to know. But it doesn't, just think about it like this, it doesn't look much different than what you had.
It doesn't look much different. And they don't listen. And then you look like you're crazy, and you look like you're jealous, and you're trying to interfere and all of that, And so, I might give a slightly different bit of advice if the new person reaches out to you and says, okay.
I'm giving all advice at that point. Been there, done that. What did you want to know?
Right.
Yeah, because you're calling me for a reason. You're calling me because you already know.
You already know.
With that being said, what did you want to know? Yeah,
right. He does. How much time you got?
Listen. Right. Yes, he does that too. And this too. He did that. Yes, he does that too. Oh, he did that already. Oh, okay. You can't be mad at me. She reached out to me.
Right.
But you going out there seeking to do that could look like sabotage. She's going to brainwash her, and you could put yourself in danger.
Yeah, right. You absolutely will be in danger because they're already not happy that they don't have you as supply anymore.
I was talking to Survivor the other day, and she said, I don't understand. He has other women. Why is he so concerned with me? And I tried to said, listen, you're just your property in a way. You're something that he wants, quote unquote, in his mind own. He could have a million other women, but if it's not you, he has to be able to control you. Right?
Yes. And that's the part.
It's not a logical thing that we would think, oh yeah, someone else, he's moved on. No.
Yeah, no. These are not rational people. We're not talking about rational people.
So you have to think of yourself and your safety. You can't think about that.
And that's something that you need to be sensitive to. Again, not in a fearful way.
Sensitive, it's a great word.
But how long does it take to set up, a safety plan, a code word or something so that people that are interacting with you in your day-to-day life can understand that something is wrong, that you need help, and what it is that you need for them to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just advisable that you do that. And be sensitive about, posting your location and stuff like that. As much as I post
Please don't.
As much as I post, listen. By the time y'all see the post, I'm not even there anymore.
Of course, because that's wisdom. I had a survivor, one of the survivors said, what do you do when your abuser gets in all of your groups? Like he follows you into little abuser groups that you're in. You tell admin and you get him blocked. You say something. The point is they can create fake accounts and they can friend you or hack into what you're doing. So you just got to be very aware.
You have to be aware. And so when I started a private Facebook group, because when they get too big, you can't really, my primary concern is safety.
It's safety, period.
Safety. And so I'm vetting you. Yeah. Nobody else even has the ability to do that. I'm vetting you, and I'm keeping it small on purpose. And because the focus is a little bit different. It's called Dominion Over Domestic Violence. And I don't want people sharing battle scars only. My abuse blacked my eye. Well, mine, he broke both of my orbital sockets. I mean, I don't want it to become this contest about who has been abused.
Trust me, I know exactly
the most. You know what I'm saying? And getting trapped in that.
But you have a group too, like we can control who's allowed to post, what you post, who gets in, because that's important. Because before you know it, it turns into just negative and we're overcomers. We want to empower you. We want you to know there's life after. We know this happened. That was horrible. Are you getting help? Are you seeking counseling? You know what I mean?
Right. And how can we encourage you and uplift you? So I let people know, look, if you're coming over here so that you can stay the same, this is not, I'm going to get on your last nerve. Because that's not what we do over here.
And I feel like with my page, my Facebook, my Stand Up Survivor page is public, so I kind of allow that. But in my private group, I don't, and I try to block everybody who doesn't come with something negative. Like, I shared one the other day, like call for help or something. I'm like, during COVID-19, call 911. You cannot be afraid to reach for help. This is not the time to, I'll see if he changes next week. We don't have time for that. This is not the season where the walls are closing in on people. It's stressful right now. And someone put, the cops never help. Don't call the police. You're not going to do anything. I'm like, time out. This is somebody's life we're playing with. Your feelings and emotions are relevant right now because someone's life depends on them picking up that phone. You know how many suicides have already happened since COVID started? It was already on the rise.
Right.
But since COVID, oh my goodness.
Yes,
all around the world.
Right. And I would say to anyone who is trapped right now, and I'm sure Lisa and I both understand, this is a complete nightmare to be on lockdown with that joker. Okay, it's not.
Listen. Jesus.
Working, not working, less money, more excuses. There's a couple of things that I want to say, to survivors that find themselves in that situation right now. Number one, all of this is just an excuse for them to do what they're already doing anyway. It's an excuse, and there is no acceptable excuse. No virus, no loss of job, no intoxication, no I was dropped on my head at birth, none of that. My daddy wasn't in my life when I was little. All of those are excuses because there are people who experience those things and don't abuse their partners. Okay, so let's just establish that. The other thing is your self-talk is critically important.
That's good.
We don't listen to other people that much. We listen to what we decide about what other people said. We listen to what we decide about what we just heard, about what we just saw. And so it's important that you manage your own self-talk. And that's something that you can manage. That's something the victim can manage. What are you saying to yourself?
It's hard, but you can manage it.
It is, but it's doable. It's doable. Okay, there's nothing easy about extricating yourself from this mess. This is a mess. Okay, this is a mess of epic proportions. It truly is.
And it's never been seen before. This is for everybody.
This is for everybody, worldwide. And you know what else? Okay, so now we're calling this a pandemic, right? And you see, the last time I checked, we had 20,000 people had died in the United States alone. The Lord let me know when this started that this is not going to be over anytime. When it first, I said, this is not, y'all not going to pray this away. Not like you know.
Wow.
This is different. This is completely different. And when we meet the criteria, it will stop and not before then.
Yeah, I believe that. I like how you put that. I do believe that. Once you meet the criteria.
It won't. But your self-talk, no matter what they're doing, what you're saying to yourself will it affects what you view as your options, even.
That's true. So find a book, find an online group, find an article online to help you with your self-talk, to change your mentality and things to say to yourself. And I want to piggyback off of what you said about the self-talk part, because this can even be a season where you're planning and preparing to leave.
Yes.
You know? And so when they go ding, 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 you're free to go out. Your bag is by the door and you're ready to go. Literally. You know what I'm saying? So doing what you need to do, you stay quiet. That's all you do. What you got to do to survive within the home.
Right. Let them think that they are winning.
Yep. But you are
Let them
planning
think that
your
they're
escape.
winning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Don't be so set on proving. You don't have to prove. Just be. Just be.
Yeah.
Just
The walls are these 4 walls are too close at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that 8-hour workday. The kids are gone. They're eating the place up. They're fighting. Call one of us and let us do a safety plan with you, just so you know that there are options out there, so that when the time comes, you are prepared to leave.
when it's time
And
to
I
go.
agree. That self-talk, start, it's like you're not this, you're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're this. Start counteracting that with the word of God, the truth of who you are.
Right.
Find positive things about yourself, whatever means necessary, online articles, books, so that by the time you're building yourself back up.
That you're building yourself up. And you can, and it doesn't have to be a long paragraph or poem, or just something that resonates with you. I used to say to myself, I have the mind of Christ.
Yeah, that's good.
I have the mind of Christ.
Yeah.
And I would just hold on to that.
Mm-hmm.
I have the mind of Christ. Because let me tell you something. Like I said in the very beginning, the enemy doesn't care how he destroys you.
No, he doesn't.
There's something on the inside of you that God wants released in the earth, or you would not have been targeted for this hell called domestic violence.
God.
Okay. And you want to protect that as much as you can, right? Let them think that they're winning. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Listen, the whole conversation doesn't include you anyway as a victim. You know what I'm saying?
No, it doesn't. Your feelings or thoughts, no. We just need you to survive. That's what we need you to do. If you need to get out before the pandemic ends, that's fine. There's this hotline, there's 911, do that. But if you can survive it while you're there, get ready to go.
Right. And this is like a visual, this is a palpable example of what domestic violence is, because a few years back, the United Nations declared, right, that domestic violence was a pandemic, was a global pandemic, and it didn't resonate with anybody. So you look at the numbers and how they tick up so fast concerning this virus. Domestic violence has been like this.
Don't even get me started. I just get so frustrated when I think about it.
Yes.
We've been saying this. This is an epidemic. We've been saying this.
There's no place that's not touched by it. Not church, not school. There's no place.
100 people died today from, guess how many people died of domestic violence today as well?
Yes.
That's true.
And it's been going on. So I'm excited because I know we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We are going to keep going and get some more people free. I told the enemy years ago, keep messing with me. Every time you do, I'm going to turn it into a seminar, workshop. Keep providing me with material. That's what you do.
That's good. I like that one.
To turn it into something, okay, and weaponize it against him. And so I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for
Happy
having
anniversary.
Me back. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you next anniversary.
Yes,
next year. I'll be watching you in between there though, because you stalk me, I stalk you too.
Yeah, I'll
see what you're doing.
Too. I appreciate you so much. And everyone that has come on, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll check Facebook and see what's happening over there. I left it up because I'm not sure what it's doing, but it might be live. If not, we recorded this one, and so we should be able to post it. But I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you.
You too. I know we could talk for days, so thank you for having me, and I appreciate it. God bless you to continue to do what he's called you to do.
Yes, you too. You too. All right. Okay. We'll talk to you all later. Blessings.
Okay.